Hey everyone, Andrew here, and today I'm doing my top 5 best MCU movies. Like, honestly, MCU has made some of the best superhero movies that I've seen that have ever come out, without a doubt. And some of these are so epic and so interesting that it's amazing. And there is a good level of things that people can put here in the top 5 and others cannot. But it's for me, it's like this was the list that kind of made me want to do this and to do this review because the negative ones we kind of all agree on, but I was seeing such odd and different answers that from my list as the best MCU, and that made me kind of like sad and angry because some of these movies don't get the love they deserve, and some of these movies deserve to be in the top 5 for what they are. All that said, let's get going with number 5. Iron Man. Definitely the best place to start, since it is the start of the entire thing, and it's amazing that this is the start. That Marvel company decided to do this movie with this character who is a D-list character. He's not, like, he's important in the Marvel universe, but he's not, and he's not a lot of people's favorites. He's not that big of a name. People are like, why aren't you going to do Spider-Man or X-Men, or, it's like, everyone believed when Marvel started that they'd already given away their best characters. You're not going to do Wolverine, you're not going to do Spider-Man, you're not going to do Fantastic Four. Well, why should we care about Iron Man? And then they cast Robert Downey Jr., who had been a joke for many years. He'd been a washed-up drug addict who hadn't done much work in many years. He'd done some small stuff, but he hadn't been the lead of a big movie. And then we got this film. And this film is just absolutely amazing. Great storytelling. They nailed Tony Stark perfectly. Like, the second Robert Downey Jr. steps on stage, he is Tony Stark. The second that he does, and you believe in every single thing he says and everything he's doing. You see the motivation, you see the character, you see everything about him. The entire beginning is pitch perfect. The story, how Tony Stark became Iron Man. Every single part of that work, from being the sleazy, arrogant brat kid who just wants to make bigger weapons and make money and sleep with everybody, to being captured, nearly killed, building the first suit, which is so grounded in its design and the way it looks and the way it's done that you could somewhat believe this could be built. It makes sense. It works design-wise. And then seeing him coming back and the way he talks and the way he deals with the change. He's like, you see how his life has changed from this situation. And one of the things I love is the building of the suit. I don't mean specifically the building physically. I mean how the suit evolves and grows and he makes it. Like, because you have the second suit that he makes after the desert, where it's like, it's all silver and it's this, and he's like flying around and trying to figure out, and it's like, you get to see them working out the kinks, which is super cool, and I really like. And then you get to see him, doing the test flight, and the suit freezing over, and it's like, oh, so we need to change that. So it's like, oh, we can spray it with this nylon. Let's change the color then, and we add in the color to make it interesting and to pop. And so even the color of the suit has importance, as well as every single piece of it, every single piece of technology in it, every single little detail is important and needed for the story. That's super impressive. The number of times that a character is just like, oh, someone randomly threw something, now I put that on, now that's my suit. Like, that works for some characters, but I always love watching how the characters build their stuff as they go. You have a great villain in Obadiah Stane in this. He's just the right, because the second you see him, you know he's going to be a villain. But he's got that right level of just being super maniacal and just, wanting power and money and control. And he just works so well as this cold business man. And it's just like a really good antagonist and a really good foil for this. The entire cast is amazing. Even, Terrence Howard actually, he gives a very good performance as Rhodes. It's like that thing of like he has the right level of drama and comedy to it. Gives a very good all around performance from it. I would have loved to seen him continue on, but still, honestly, just this was the start. This is where the idea of the MCU was birthed and came out, and it just like if this movie had been bad, the entire everything we know may not have happened. We could have had the same thing that happened to like the Dark Universe when the Mummy reboot failed. It's just it's like, all right, scrap it. We're gonna do something else. We're gonna wait a couple years and try to do something else. Like this was a make it or break it thing, and they hit it out of the theme park. Beautiful storytelling, beautiful characters, amazing effects that still look amazing today. Like the action scenes work so well. Like the first scene when he's in the fully new suit and he crashes down and tries to stop that battle, and he takes out that tank and just turns and walks away and explodes behind him. It's amazing. The introduction of all of the characters and all the little things that are hint that there's a bigger world going on. The ending alone is absolutely shocking the first time you see that, because here's a character who should have a secret identity. We should be keeping, protecting himself and everyone by keeping this identity. And he's even been given a story that will sort of work. And flat out says, nah, I'm just going to tell him I'm Iron Man. And just adds such a dynamic and something we've never seen in a movie before of just the hero who admits who he is, has no secret identity. And it's just like, I'm Tony Stark, I'm Iron Man, deal with it. And then you get the end credit scene with Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury saying, I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely amazing. Just the nice little tidbit that makes us all want to just go and watch the immediate next movie in this to get going. It's like we want to see if they could actually do this. Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I saw this super recently in the last 2 weeks. I saw it twice in theaters. It's absolutely amazing. I'm gonna do my best not to spoil anything because it's absolutely amazing and well worth the watch. Highly recommend it. It's beautifully told, beautifully made. It's the perfect end note. It's like Iron Man is the beginning, and then Endgame is the perfect finale to this huge arc that we've been watching for 10 years. And just seeing all of these characters, seeing them grow and seeing them become the embodiment of the person that they playing. Absolutely, like, I was bawling in the theater because I was so emotionally moved, and I literally, I had to take off my glasses because I could not see because I was crying so hard. And it's amazing and beautiful, and I love it, but there is a reason it's not higher. So the reasons it's not higher, for one, is some of the comedy just runs a little long. So this is about like I had a problem with Iron Man 3, where it's like some of the jokes they let run a little longer than I would like. Where it's just like, oh gosh, we get it. Can we get the story going again? I don't need the joke here. I don't need too much comedy in this. You've gotten to the point. You have me. You don't need to be funny. Just go. Be funny when it needed and when it works. And there's some parts of it that work extremely funny-wise and work very well. That there's some of the jokes, especially in the first hour and a half, that it's just, we can thin this a little down, can't we? Come on. We can't shave off 5-10 minutes, make this under 3 hours? Really? The other problem is going to be the time travel parts. Because time travel plays a very big part in Endgame. There are 3 different types of time travel that we tend to work with. The first is the single timeline. You go back in time, you change something, this timeline now becomes this. And the other one is erased. So you just get the new timeline. So basically you can go back in time as much as you want. Every time you do something, something changes, the world changes, everything becomes different. This would be Back to the Future, this would be Terminator, this was a bunch of them. That's the first type of time travel. The second type of time travel is fixed time travel, which is if you go back in time and try to change something, you will be unable to do that because the events had to happen for you to think about inventing and creating time travel to go back in time and change it. The best example of this is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So with that one, she had the time turner, which she used to go back, and everything that they did when they went back in time happened the first time. They just didn't see themselves and they didn't see all the sides and all the elements. But everything that happened was going to happen, is meant to happen. You cannot change the fate. You can only... because anything that will happen does happen. That's a fixed timeline. The third timeline is the multi-timeline, which is if you go back in time and do something, you create a separate timeline from your own. So the original timeline's still there, but there's a completely separate timeline that all these people that are in the new event are stuck in, and they are dealing with that side of it. That best example for that is Dragon Ball Z. Trunks goes back in time to stop, the androids from killing everybody. Goes back to his original timeline. His timeline stays the same, but there's a whole completely different timeline that has Trunks showing up, giving the antidote, and stopping the androids. But you can't go back and fix it because it just creates a separate timeline, does not change your present. Endgame has a really confusing explanation of time travel, in that they tried very hard not to explain it. They were basic, but I spent days thinking about this and trying to come up with the answer, and the best I can come up with is the answer is that it is two separate versions of time travel fused together. So there is a single timeline, and you can go back in time, but you can't change events to create the single timeline, unless you do something involving the Infinity Stones. If you remove an Infinity Stone or do something to the Infinity Stones in the past, you create a separate timeline. That's how it works. But that said, even after not only myself coming up with this and thinking about it, and I've also listened to other people explain it and listened to a bunch of stuff, it's still confusing as hell. And that's sort of what drags this one down a little bit, because it's like time travel is a very tricky thing, and you are making it as complicated as you can by not choosing to stick to one version of time travel. But honestly, super amazing film. Love it. Highly recommend. The Avengers. This one I found low on a bunch of people's lists, and I was very sad to hear that. Do you not remember the hype? Do you not remember what the thought process was going into that? Because I remember how I thought about it and what I was thinking about it when it came out. So when it came out, I was hesitant. I wanted it to be good, but I'd never seen anything like this. To see a bunch of characters from a bunch of movies get together and to do something like this, I'd never seen it. It's like, I don't know how it's going to work, and I had worries because it was such a good cast of named people. Are we going to be able to give them all the screen time, all character development, character growth, chance to shine, do all of these things? Because I've seen ensemble movies before where you get a big cast of no names, and a lot of times what happens is that certain characters just kind of get pushed off to the side and don't have a lot to do or a lot to say, and are just kind of there. And that happens a lot. I mean, that happened even in, like, the new version of It, Chapter 1. Like, some of the kids in that one have nothing to do and have no reason to be there. They're just there for a lot of the stories. And it's just like, you can't even do that with a cast of unknown kids. Couldn't give them all screen time, motivation, and energy. So I was very worried that this wouldn't work out. And I remember being blown away. I remember just thinking this was absolutely amazing. One of the best things I'd ever seen. The characters were all spot on. All of the actors grew into these characters and fit them so well in this one. Okay, so Captain America was still a little sketchy. I blame that more on the costume. Thankfully, they fixed that in his next movie. It's like you have a villain who we've already been introduced to, so you didn't have to give us his backstory, but you were able to build on him and make him an actually super interesting, super compelling, relatable character that was likable. But you also wanted to see him get punched in the face. We got introduced to Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner and Hulk, and he is the best balance of those two characters that you ever seen. Because you get to the other ones, it's like Eric Bana did a very good Hulk, but a very bad Bruce Banner, and then you got Edward Norton, who is an okay Hulk and an okay Bruce Banner. But then you get Mark Ruffalo, who balances those two well. Like, his Bruce Banner is amazing. He's so soft-spoken and subtle, and just, you can tell he's holding things back and he's trying to keep things in control, but he's also very calm and very clear-spoken, and it's such an interesting way to portray this character. And just to have him be the smartest person in the room, but also the one most out of control and most like trying to keep himself contained. And then you get to his Hulk, which when I originally was seeing it, I was like, he looks so tiny compared to the other Hulks. Because all the other Hulks were like 10 feet tall and huge muscles, and he only looks a little bit taller, like 8 foot or 7 foot. But that scene where he becomes Hulk, he actually turns into the Hulk, where it's like, we're gonna need you to get angry, Dr. Banner, and he's like, that's my secret. I'm always angry. And he just turns into the Hulk and punches that ship, and it comes crashing down. That is cinematic gold. That is amazing. And I know some people don't like that scene. They're like, it doesn't make sense that he's able to do that. Listen to the commentary by Joss Whedon. Listen to the behind the scenes. They explain it. It actually does make perfect sense that this is... Because at the beginning of the movie, he hadn't turned into the Hulk for a year. And how? Because he let himself be angry, but he didn't let it overwhelm him. He didn't let it control him. Then you get to, well, why did he turn into it in the ship when he's supposed to be in control? It's like, well, magic. Literally, Loki and the staff did it to him. But you also get such good dynamics. You like the second every character is introduced, you see exactly how they fit into the position, their role, into the team, into everything. Everyone gets a chance to stand out. Everyone gets a chance to have their moment. You get some great comedy throughout. Like, I still loved, like, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow being strapped to the chair, answering a phone call and being like, yeah, I'll be done with this in 10 minutes. And, like, because she knows she's in complete control. And then just manages to kick all of these people's butts while strapped to a chair is just amazing. Everything the Hulk does when we actually see him get to fight and gets to have some fun and do some stuff. Like, this, when he comes up to Loki, and Loki's like, you can't do anything to me, I'm a god. And he just grabs Loki and just starts slamming him into the ground. He's just like, puny god. It's amazing. Absolutely love it. The action is great. The storytelling is great. Every character gets a moment. The effects are amazing. And this is something that... These are things I never expected to see on the big screen. I never expected to see a team up like this. I never expected to see a helicarrier actually being used. I never expected to see, Iron Man blasting Cap's shield so he can aim it, or Thor banging on, or using the lightning to power everyone up. I never imagined they would actually be doing team-up moves and being connected and balanced, and it's amazing. Like, Joss Whedon brought his A game to this. It's amazing. Everything in it works perfectly. Everything in it is perfectly balanced. There's not a single part of this that I would say is bad or rushed. Honestly, this one was my favorite MCU movie for a very long time. And this only got to be defeated and outdone by the 2 movies. The first was my number 2. Avengers: Infinity War. This is a movie that really shouldn't have worked. It really shouldn't. I mean, just the cast list alone is daunting, because there are dozens and dozens of superheroes in this. And I had a worry with the original Avengers about them having a hard time getting like 6 characters to have enough screen time for each of them to have character development. But the Russos freaking hit this out of the park. I mean, you get this giant cast of characters, and every single one of them gets good amount of screen time, something to do, character development, a chance to shine, growth, all of that. You get all of that from these. Every single character gets a moment, and that's amazing. You took a character who, every time we've been introduced to him before, he's had no personality. He's just green, gruff and tough and sitting in a chair, and we're just kind of like, are you ever going to do anything? But then we get to see him. We get to see Thanos and see what he wants and what he's doing and his motivation. And he is just driven, and he has got an understandable and reason and a good motivation and something that's driving him forwards. And I just look at him, and I'm just like, you're kind of right. That's the thing about Thanos, is like, he's actually like the version of a villain that they don't do enough of, and they need to do more of, and that is the person who sees himself as the hero. Because nobody sees themselves as the villain. You all think you're doing it for a good reason. And Thanos is just like the ultimate culmination of, I'm doing this for everyone's benefit. I watched my world get destroyed. I watched my people die because they did not listen to me. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care what pain I have to go through. I'm going to fix the universe because I know I'm right. It's like, that is understandable, that is relatable, and it's also terrifying, and you want to stop him. And it's amazing, and just the interactions between these characters you never thought were going to be in the same room or ever have a conversation with, and you see them talking and butting heads. Who would have thought that Star-Lord meeting Thor would have been one of the funniest things in the world? Just, like, you know, them talking like each other, and then seeing Tony Stark bouncing off Doctor Strange, and then with Spider-Man there, and it's just like, how? Why is this working? How did you do this, Russos? And then they did it again in Endgame, and I don't, like, Endgame at least had a smaller cast for most of it. But still, it's just like, jeez Louise, how did they do this? Infinity, like, someone did a question, it's like, what was the best moment of any of the MCU moments? Infinity Wars has one of my favorite moments ever. And it's really small, and it's really subtle, and it's just the introduction of the Guardians of the Galaxy to this, where they're playing, where it's playing the song Rubber Band Man, and you just see the ship come in, and you see through the front view screen all the characters and what they're doing, and how they're all listening to the music, and you got, you know, Gamora singing along, and Drax kind of just being like, and you got Groot just playing on his game. And that, for me, is one of my favorite moments, because it set up the Guardians in this universe perfectly from the get-go. You knew exactly who each of these characters were, you knew what they were thinking. You did not need to see Guardians 1 or 2 to have an idea of what was going on with these people, who they are, what their motivation, what they're doing. This little scene, no dialogue, just music, absolutely sums the Guardians up perfectly. And then they crash into Thor. But yeah, no, just amazing. So, this movie, to me, is what Empire Strikes Back is for most of the Star Wars fans. Because majority of people like Empire as their favorite Star Wars movie. I'm not that person. I prefer New Hope. I prefer and Return. I like both of those more than Empire. I watch Empire because it's a trilogy and it's good, and I need it to connect the three, but I don't see Empire as the be-all, end-all. I love elements of it, I like parts of it, but it just depresses me, so I don't particularly enjoy watching it. Infinity War, for me, is what that is. for everyone else. This is the culmination. This is when the universe got darker. This is when everything was on the line. This is when evil had the chance to win. And you just see our heroes putting everything they can just to try and survive. And it's just dark and haunting and amazing and beautiful and funny and comedic and interesting and well told, and it's amazing. I don't know what the Russos did to make this magic concoction work, not just once but twice. But I am absolutely like I think the Russos will be set for the rest of their career. They can do anything they want. They've already made some of the best movies of all time. Not the best superhero movies, not the best MCU. Some of the best movies of all time. So, honorable mentions. I gotta give honorable mentions to Guardians of the Galaxy, because it is a good film. I really like it. I got Star-Lord right here. I have 3 shirts just to Guardians. And, I don't have a single Iron Man or a single Captain America, but I have lots of Guardians shirts. And that's because I do love it. I do love the cast. I love the characters. That said, Screen Junkies put this as their #1 MCU movie. And I can't say that. I can't say it deserves that. It's great. I love it. And I can understand someone personally thinking it's their best. But for me, while I love a lot of it, and I love most of it, there are certain things about it that just don't work as well. Part of it is, when I'm watching it, I just see all of the movies that they're referencing, or homaging, or doing. And this has happened before, where it's like I watched Superman Returns, and I'm like, well, okay, that's a scene, you took that shot from Godzilla, that shot looks like it's from Independence Day, that shot looks like it's from this. I had that with this, where I'm like, well, that looks like it's from Star Wars, that's from Star Trek, that's from Battlestar Galactica. It's like, you can pinpoint a lot of these things. It's just like, makes it a little hard to get into it when you're just saying all the other movies that this basically is. I love it. It's really good. It's got great comedy. It's got some of the best cast, some of the best stuff going on. It's really interesting. It's just that, and the villain is kind of weak. We understand his motivation, kind of. Like, he blames Nova Corps and this planet for destroying his people. And so he wants to destroy them. But he just doesn't even seem that interested in it. And doesn't seem that motivated. He's just kind of there. But yeah, I love it. Honestly, it deserves all the praise it gets. I can even understand it being someone's personal favorite. I just can't say it's the best thing the MCU has done. Sorry. But it is also astounding because it did something that a lot of other people would just look at and just be like, it took unknown characters and made them household names and made them some people's favorite characters. One of the best examples, I've always seen, is there's this meme where it's like they are talking about Wonder Woman and DC, and it's like DC is afraid to do a Wonder Woman movie. This was back before they did a Wonder Woman movie. DC has been afraid to do a Wonder Woman movie because they don't think people will be able to connect to her or believe that this woman can do these things. And what's Marvel's response? We're going to make a movie starring a talking raccoon and a tree. And everyone's going to love it and think it's amazing. And they did it. That alone deserves all the props, that you made a movie where 2 of the main characters are a raccoon and a tree. And they have absolutely started some of honestly, the best characters. They're amazing. Captain America Civil War goes in the honorable mentions. A lot of people, this is their Empire Strikes Back, because it's everything starts to fall and everything is dark. I like this movie, I really do. It's got a lot of action, a lot of storytelling, a lot of good points, a lot of good elements. The airport scene alone deserves, absolutely mad props, because it's absolutely beautiful and amazing. For me, I can't rank this movie too high, because the ending depresses me. Same thing I have with Empire, where it's just I like the movie, I think it's very good, I like elements of it, but at the end of the day, when I finish that movie, I'm just miserable. I don't watch movies to be miserable. I watch movies to either to feel great emotions or to escape emotions. I do not watch movies to be sad. This one makes me sad. I really liked Captain Marvel, the movie. That one was actually really kind of good. I like the 90s setting. It was a nice throwback. Yeah, Brie Larson was actually a pretty interesting character. A lot of dynamics going on with her. The action's pretty good. Some of the storytelling's a little iffy. The effects are very good. It's such an interesting thing to have a character that's that powerful and does that many things. One of the negatives that I've heard about Captain Marvel is a lot of people mad that it explains how Nick Fury lost his eye, and that doesn't bother me because it fits this version of Nick Fury, the one from Captain Marvel. You can totally see this version of Nick Fury getting damaged in this way and losing his eye. Now, when you compare him to the Avengers Nick Fury, the hardcore badass character, it's like it doesn't fit. But that's usually how things like this happen to characters who end up becoming badasses. How they got the thing is really stupid or really banal. Like Han Solo being named Han Solo because someone thought it was funny that he was alone. It's like, yeah, well, I took the thing that was stupid and I made it cool. That's Han Solo. And I also gotta give mad props to Thor Ragnarok. Because you took a trilogy where the first two of this trilogy are on my bottom list because they're boring and unfunny and uninteresting. And you managed to make it super fun, super energetic, made Thor a very likable, very amazing character. You made Hulk this really good dynamic character, and you got to see Hulk as talking and as Hulk for the strong, because you don't really have scenes with Hulk talking too much and doing stuff and just hanging out, and it's kind of cool to just have that and see that. You got really good scenes between Loki and Thor. You got Hela, who's an amazing villain. She's actually a very good, intimidating villain for this. You got the introduction of Valkyrie, who's an amazing female character and absolutely amazing. I would love for her to get her own spin-off movie at some point. Or team her up with some of the other female characters. I don't know. I would love to see more Valkyrie, please. But there is one little thing I have a problem with Thor Ragnarok, and that is that while I love a lot of the comedy, and a lot of the comedy works very well, it also has that edge of trying too hard. Where it's like they're trying so hard to be funny and so hard to be comedic and so hard to be interesting. It's like that you can tell that the character is just trying to think up one-liners, and you can tell that they're trying. It's like going to a stand-up club with someone who's not getting any laughs, and you can tell they're just trying to be funnier, and it's just kind of not working. And it sadly feels kind of like a knockoff of Guardians of the Galaxy because it's similar style, similar humor, just with a completely kind of different lead character. That said, I am super interested to see what they do with Thor following Endgame, and also what they do with Guardians following Endgame. That'll be really interesting to see how that works. Now it's time to move on to my number one. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I love this movie. This movie is amazing. It's just so interesting. It works as a superhero movie. It works as a spy movie. It works as the everyone against you having to go on the run kind of movie. You took a character who Captain America, especially in the first event in his solo movie, and even in a little bit in the Avenger movie, is very vanilla. Is very much just the good guy. Did that, and they managed to give him depth and motivation and complexity and made him compelling to watch. And part of me wants to say it's because of the outfit. Because I absolutely love the outfit he's rocking for the beginning of this film with the one star and the like they fixed Captain America's outfit, and from this point on his uniform for the entire rest of the series is absolutely amazing. But it's also just giving him motivation and giving him thoughts and having to deal with emotional things and do different things. absolutely amazing. You get the best version of Natasha Romanoff of Black Widow in this, where she's funny and light, but has that darker side, and you can tell that she's someone that you can trust, but you also shouldn't trust entirely. And her and Captain Cap's connection is amazing. It's like while they never became a couple, you can tell they're work husband and wife, and they balance each other well that way. The introduction of Winter Soldier is actually very good, and it's like even though we all knew all the time who it was still amazing, still beautiful, still well told, and just loved every single aspect of it. You had the good use of Hydra and using them as this undercover and how they'd infiltrated everything, and just this good spy espionage story that elevates Cap from hero to complex superhero that you rally behind and you just give him all his props. Like, if this movie hadn't been done, the amazing performance that we got out of him in Endgame wouldn't exist, because he could not have been that complex. He could not have been that behind. But they gave him depth. They gave him this sense of loss and this wanting to fit and wanting to find himself and figure out what's going on in this. It's an amazing spy movie, good action, great storytelling, absolutely beautifully made. We also get an introduction of the Falcon, and it's like, he's a great introduction to him. You understand who he is right away. Him and Cap have a immediate connection, and they work off each other so well and balance each other so well. And just every aspect of this movie works. Could you find flaws with this movie? Yes, but that would be such little nitpicking that it just isn't worth it. It's a nearly flawless movie. Let it be nearly flawless. You don't need to point out its flaws. It's amazing. I love it. It's honestly one of the best superhero. It's one of the best movies of all time. It's one of the best superhero movies of all time. The only thing that can rival this really is The Dark Knight. But honestly, no, they made one of the best spy films. They made one of the best superhero films. They made the best MCU film. Long live the Russos. I can't wait to see what they do. If they can literally do anything, I will probably go watch it, because they are out of this fucking world. Mad geniuses. So that's my top 5. What do y'all think? Do you agree? Is there some that I should have given more credit to? Is there some that I should have talked about that I didn't? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day.